This media is brought to you by Polyscope.
In the realm of tomorrow, where tech meets mind, we ponder, we dream.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Think Future. Once again, I'm coming at you live from deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. And today we have a very special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us about yourself and your organization and what you're passionate about.
Sure. My name is Travis Misurell. I'm the founder of FINC Coalition.
Wait a minute. That sounds close to what I have.
Yeah.
Wait, my tagline is Think Future. Come on. What's going on here? Should we be suing each other?
Fink. Ours is Fink. Rhymes with think.
Okay.
Yeah. It is close. You're correct, but it's different. Basically, with my organization, we're just looking around. You could see the economy is brutal. People are exhausted, broke. Everyone's angry at each other. And it feels like everything's kind of falling apart. And what people are not saying out loud here, or maybe they are, is that, it's not a coincidence. This is really there's different terms for it, like late stage capitalism or just the end, just kind of where we're at, this concentration of power that, it's this with money, power, and influence piling up with fewer and fewer hands. And we always want to stress this is not like Democrat versus Republican. This is just generally a concentration of power, influence. And so I think we call that the middleman, the big money, party gatekeepers, media manipulators. They basically kind of decide a lot of how politics goes. They shape the economy, and ultimately we're trying to build a way around them. Think of it as like a civic internet, a space owned by citizens and not the advertisers. No algorithms rigging your feed to keep you outraged. No small groups controlling the story. It's just a place where we're building a place where you don't need millions to be seen, and just have basically a level playing field that people can do their civic duties, build communities, some politics stuff, without the manipulation of the middleman.
So how do you think we got to this point? I mean, we were in a situation prior to the internet where you had very small minorities who were able to sort of sculpt the message that would get out there, right? I mean, you had radio, you had TV, you had newspapers, books, magazines. These were all a small elite of editors were allowing whatever the message is to get out there. And then when the internet came along, it sort of broke that thing open for everybody else. And now we seem to be getting back to that same place again. It's just more tech infused. I mean, how do you think we got to this point?
Yeah, great question. Some people would argue it's always kind of been this way. I would say whether, to some extent it is. It's just a matter of how bad. A lot of in recent years, the big pinpoint for me is the 2008 Great Recession. A lot of people feel like the economy just never came back to average people since 2008.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.
Right. And then, so that's a big part of it. But what really happened is just over the years, the campaign finance laws got looser and looser. And then I believe it was 2010, something around there, is after 2008, Citizens United got passed. And that blew corruption out just exploded, because it basically legalized corruption. It says that corporations are human beings with constitutional rights, and that money is free speech, and therefore limiting where a corporation spends money is limiting their freedom of speech. And then that's when super PACs came out, and now there's people there's corporations literally could spend millions of dollars trying to get somebody elected or make sure somebody doesn't get elected. So that was a huge decline. And so those are a lot of the areas. Definitely Citizens United did a huge number on just the laws itself and just took off a lot of the restrictions. So I would say that was between that and the Great Recession and some other stuff was the big turning point.
When was that? I mean, I've heard of it, but when did that happen, and who was behind all that?
So it was a Supreme Court case. I'm bad with years. I'm looking it up real quick.
It was before
Um,
2008, I'm
it
assuming.
was no, it was actually, so it was 2010.
Hmm.
It was a Supreme Court case. Obama was president at the time, but it was Supreme Court. He didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah,
Um,
it doesn't really matter who's in power, really.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But from what I've learned about it, originally it was supposed to be for a good thing. It was actually something that was protecting a certain situation, but then the corruptive influences grab hold of that court case, and then the ultimate return, like the what it turned out to be, just totally like money was starting to get looser and looser over the last few decades, but that just made it so, like, because you'll even see, I forget the exact numbers, but like a normal election year would be like in the millions, and then right after Citizens United, it was immediately like 10 times more expensive every year, and now
Wow.
we're in billions. Like this year, like now the average is $12 billion a year that people spend on elections.
That's insane. Could you
Yeah.
even say, I mean, your moniker says upgrade democracy, but do we even have a democracy if that's the way things are? It doesn't make any sense that we do, right?
Yeah, like the way I would frame it is like technically we can vote. Your vote does count. What
Hmm.
makes this not a democracy is that we're manipulated into a false choice.
Right.
So it's kind of like how we frame it is like the middleman chooses how visible every candidate is.
Yes.
So if we wanted candidate A to win and we genuinely all just voted our hearts and voted for who we wanted, we could choose somebody that the establishment does not want. The
Right.
problem is, since they have money influence, they party gatekeepers and media, they manipulate everything. So if a candidate is not in bed with the status quo, the media and the money are all going to campaign saying, "Oh, this person's not electable. You don't want them. If you vote for them, you're helping the worser evil win."
Yep.
They scare you. They manipulate you to say that, "Oh, no one wants this person, even though they're one of the most popular candidates in history. We're going to tell you that they're not, that you don't want them. They're not electable."
Right. And it sows doubt in the people who
Yeah.
are thinking about voting for that person. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how we're not in a democracy. It's because we're being manipulated into the wrong choice. So that's where, when we're saying upgrade democracy, it's like if we could build a level playing field that kind of removes the middleman from the equation. Right now it's like for a candidate to run, they have to advertise themselves, and that's what costs the millions of dollars. But if we have one level playing field, one digital system where you see all your choices, who's running, where do they stand, you'll be able to see their conflicts of interest, where's their funding coming from, do they fulfill their promises. If we build a system like that and just dedicate to like one system that showcases everyone, then they don't need those millions of dollars, and they don't need the media to give them the voice. Like, we want a system that automatically gives you visibility and then lets the citizens decide who's electable, who do they want to win, who should move to the front, who should move to the back. So that's what we're envisioning as a system, is where like the middleman is not involved in that process. And like they're still going to be in the traditional world, you're going to still see billboards and commercials and stuff, but like if we frame it this new way and dedicate one new system that's citizen owned and citizen led and transparency and all this stuff, and that's where most people go to make their decision, it would really flip everything upside down, because it's all about influence. It's not you have a choice, you're just being influenced the wrong way.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes me think that the systems that are in place now are just they're so ingrained that it's almost impossible to break outside of them, because we're stuck in this situation, and it helps both parties. And this is the thing that I think people forget, is that the reason why nothing materially changes is because no one wants it to materially change in either side, right?
Yes.
So the system is built the way it is because they don't want the system to change. If someone comes along to try to disrupt the system, then of course all the forces that are out there will push back against it. So this sounds like a David and Goliath type story. I mean, how did you get into it? What made you decide to start this?
Yeah, I guess I mean all my life I always saw like there could be this better way, and that like most people would be happy if we built a system that most people would want, and like there would
Yeah.
be a way to do it where most people would be overly happy with life. And it's because the system is built the wrong way is why everyone's so miserable right now. And
Right.
and it's actually the powerful have to force it to stay that way. Like naturally you could see there's a lot of progress in our culture and people's awareness in general, and like society wants to move the right way, but it's the money and the influences forcing it the other way, the wrong way.
Exactly.
But so all my life I saw it more like as a society issue, sociology. I was always big in psychology, got my bachelor's in psych. But then it wasn't until 2016 is when it started getting political for me. When I saw like Trump versus Bernie. I saw how the status quo didn't want either of them, but especially Bernie because he's just so like gonna do regulations and taxes on the rich and stuff, and like he was just the biggest anti-status quo candidate. And I just saw how much they manipulated that situation. Like, you know, whether people agree with his policies or not, that's not for us to push, but at the time he was very popular on the left, and but they just kept just doing everything in their power to make it seem like no one wanted him, even though the polls did not say that. And
Right, because he was not the chosen candidate. The chosen candidate was
yeah,
already there, and they
yeah,
wanted to make sure that the chosen candidate was selected. So they did everything in their power to
yeah,
eliminate him as a candidate because they didn't want that
yeah.
candidate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so long story short, that's when I really started getting more political. I got more aware of like how broken the system is, the manipulation and all that. And then so I kind of tied in like kind of what I've been working on all my life to politics, and then it kind of all came together of like that there's just this like more of like this consensus reality that if we frame it the a certain way, there's a way to frame it and language to use that would bring people together and would agree with things. Like we talk a lot of think about instead of left versus right, it's up versus down. It's really like if we talk about the system, if we talk about our problems as a systemic issue, that's not about it's not blaming Democrat, blaming Republican, it's blaming the influence on both parties, like you said earlier. And so it's all about framing. So my passion in psychology and sociology and framing stuff all kind of came together to manifest it in this way. You know, a lot of what we're doing is tech related, but it's really by far the top thing is about people empowerment and framing politics in a different way, and in a way that can bring us more together and get clear on like, hey, we do actually have a lot of common goals. Yes, we're going to disagree on a lot of different things, left versus right, but there's still so much that we can agree on, like money out of politics, ending gerrymandering, more representation, and like there's just so many things that we can agree with, and it's this up-down issue prevents us from getting anywhere near a solution on anything.
Yeah, because it makes me think. I mean, I've been doing some analysis of recent election results, and it seems like there's a huge swath of voters who have basically just given up. Right? It's 40% or more basically say there's no point in me voting because it doesn't matter who wins. It's going to be exactly the same. So, I mean, it would be great if we could bring back that sense that your vote does matter, that it does make a difference, right? Because I don't think I mean, I'm not sensing that today. I don't know about you.
Yeah, like defeatism is like one of the biggest battles right now, is like you're saying, like people feel like politics doesn't make a difference, like, and to some extent, like whether it's the Democrat or Republican in office, like yeah, there's definitely some big differences, but ultimately like your life is still getting worse, the economy is still getting worse, the divisiveness, like none of our problems are really getting solved. So to some extent they're correct that like as long as we're voting for a status quo left or status quo right, it's not going to change that much. The only way to change it is to fundamentally change how we're making this decision. And that's really what Fink is trying to tackle. And we're going to do it not just by ourselves, but we're building relationships with different movements, candidates, independent journalists. We want to interconnect those that want a true representation and just build this shared infrastructure to empower them and just get past the manipulated narratives. And then like if you can show like, hey, this is going to change everything, this is how things are going to be different, like our goal is really to bring a new hope to people that like, hey, yes, in the past it can definitely feel like your vote didn't matter, but if we can actually succeed at what we're doing, things can change, your vote can make a bigger difference. We just have to stop getting out of that manipulation. We have to stop being manipulated into those choices and vote for who we actually want to vote for and make a difference, elect the right people for a change. Realize it's like we're stuck in these patterns, like Democrats and Republicans, we're all stuck in these patterns. You could spend like years debating people online or this or that, it's still like everyone falls back to the same pattern.
Yeah, it's all for nothing.
Yeah,
it seems like there's a lot of argument going on, but in the end, nothing really materially changes.
Yes,
either way.
Yeah, and it's because, like, you know, again, there's definitely a lot of differences that we're never going to really agree on, but there's also a lot of commonality. Like one of the examples we're talking about in our team recently is like potholes. Like everyone deals with potholes all over the country, and you know, to oversimplify things, like, so the right would say, see, we need to lower taxes because no matter what, the potholes are still there. So why am I wasting money paying taxes when nothing gets done that I need done? You know, so let's do less taxes. That the left would say, no, we need more taxes since the pothole is still there. If we put more taxes in and stronger government, then the pothole will get fixed. Yeah. But the truth is neither is true. It's not the problem isn't whether we're paying enough taxes or not enough taxes. It's about the accountability. Where are our taxes going? Did we agree for this where the spending goes? Like, you know, billions, trillions goes to war and things that we don't agree on. And then we just want our freaking potholes taken care of. And like, we're the richest country in the world and still dealing with something so primitive and basic.
Exactly.
And so, you know,
not to mention whatever fraud's going on in the system that needs to be dealt with too. I mean, it just seems like there's so much mismanagement going on by everybody that there's so much money sloshing around, and it's being managed so poorly that we don't know where it's going, what it's going, and we definitely know that it's going to causes that we don't want. And it's like a small portion, and never enough seems to go to things that we do want. So, I mean, we absolutely need some more accountability in all this. And I mean, how do you propose we do this? I mean, it seems like an insurmountable task.
Yeah, so our vision, and we're slowly building the technology for this, is that having every politician, every candidate having a profile on our system. There's both a profile and a report card. The report card is a later phase to build because it's going to take a bit of resources. But ultimately, the idea is that when you're deciding who you could vote for, we want to hold accountability to every single candidate. Like, you know, okay, this candidate says that they want to fix healthcare, but when you zoom in, we're going to shine the light on, like, hey, they took $1 million from big pharma, and they took, you know, $200,000 from a private health insurance, and, you know, kind of making it more easier to see the conflicts of interest of a candidate, build in promise tracking. So like, hey, when they last election, they said they promised X, Y, and Z, but when in office, they didn't even try to pass those things. They didn't do anything neir those.
Doesn't
promises.
That happen almost 100% of the time?
Almost 100%. Yes, almost 100% of the time. So we want to build almost literally like a democracy score, and it's going to take a while. It's going to take a lot of citizens and talking this out of how to score it specifically, but ultimately scoring like how much conflicts of interest does somebody have, how much dealings in stock market trading do they have, where it's like basically insider trading, you know, how often do they break their promises. So we want to make it, but just super digestible, that at the end of the day, like maybe it's just a score from 1 to 10 of how democratic are they, how consistent are they with their promises, how much conflicts of interest do they have, so that, and then shine that to a citizen that, like, hey, if you're going to vote left, that's fine, vote left. If you're going to vote right, that's fine, but also look at their democracy score. Just because you like what they say does not mean they're going to act on it once they're in office. And like you just said, you're almost guaranteed they're not going to act on how they act in the campaign.
You'd think that after all these years and all the voting that we do, that we'd learn the lesson, right?
Yeah, but part of it too is like the media. So the media manipulates
Yeah.
us as well. So like if I'm partisan media, like if I'm left leaning media, if the right is in power, I'm gonna be a little more truthful and harsh on them, but I'm never gonna hold my own party accountable. You know,
Hmm.
and like so the media. Several decades ago, the media was the way to call out the BS of the politicians. Where like, that's what a lot of people would think a journalist is for. Is like, oh, you promised this last year, but you didn't deliver. What do you
Yeah,
say to that?
exactly. That
Like,
used to be their one of the reasons why they were around was that they would
yeah,
investigate these things on our behalf, against the politicians. But that's
yeah.
completely changed
Doesn't
now. It's completely different.
completely has changed. Yeah. So that's actually part of like what we envision as like this healthy new ecosystem is grassroots candidates that start cutting out the big money and all these special interests. And then also plugging in independent journalists, because there are now a rise of independent journalists, especially with the internet, that there's people that are trying to get the truth out there, and they're doing a decent job. They just have a very small voice. So
Yeah.
we want to build this ecosystem and plug them into the civic internet where like to help citizens find these independent journalists. And like, everyone's going to have a spin, everyone's going to have their lens on it. So there'll
Sure.
be Republican leaning media, liberal media, progressive media, like, and that's fine, as long as their goal is to give you the honest truth to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
We all see a subjective reality. No one knows the 100% truth, but the intention, like right now, the mainstream media, their intention is that I'm being paid to sell a narrative, and that's what I'm here for.
Hmm.
Where
Hmm.
independent journalists, at least some of them, their goal is I'm going to give the real truth, and I feel good about like trying to reveal what I believe is true, and that's how I'm growing my business. So those are the people that should shine. We want to help support them and help them grow, give them a louder voice. They're not going to be perfect, but we're also going to build that accountability system for the media as well. But long story short, like the media is almost just as big a player in the political system as the candidates themselves, because they really shape, the visibility and what reality everyone sees and who people are blaming. So it's our three main categories is candidates, media, and then plugging in like different movements and communities to help move the needle as well.
Hmm.
But this alternative ecosystem as a whole, like, it'd be wonderful if like you have all these honest journalists that want to hold people accountable regardless of party, and now who is doing that versus who's just selling you a narrative. And then you could use them. Citizens could choose the ones that they like, that give them the best, the closest to the truth that they think is true. And again, it's not a perfect system, but it's all about like what if their intention is to give you the truth, even if it's not always truth, but to their knowledge, they're trying to give you as honest, the honest truth that they can.
So how do you do this scoring that you're talking about? Because like it seems to me that, like you said, it'd be very subjective in some ways, right? If I was a Republican and there was a Republican influencer, I would score that guy high, and vice versa. I mean, how do you do the independent objective scoring on these
Yeah.
candidates in media?
Yeah, great question. For candidates, it's actually easier than you would think. It just there's a lot of data to assess. But for candidates, because right now, like what a lot of people don't know is that yes, like there's like legal bribery basically right now, but it is visible. Like you can go to opensecrets.org or the FEC website. You can see how much money a candidate takes and like what industry the money comes from. So we're going to use that as one of the biggest telling signs of like, if you're a candidate and you're taking millions of dollars and like if like, for example, if big pharma is giving a candidate like $100,000, there's no way when a bill comes up that they're supposed to regulate the pharmaceutical industry, like obviously they're going to do something in favor of that pharmaceutical. That pharmaceutical, they need a return on that investment. They're not going to just give you 100,000 because they believe in you. They know they're going to get a return. You're going
Absolutely.
to vote for something of their interest.
Yeah.
So that part's trackable. The stock market's a little harder, but there are a lot of websites that track this kind of information of like the unusual whales and like who became a millionaire like practically overnight as soon as they got elected.
Yeah,
And like,
with $100,000 salary.
yeah, right. Um, yeah,
That hardly ever happens, right? It hardly.
yeah, right, yeah.
Nuts.
Um,
We're in the wrong
so
business, man. We should be politicians.
yeah, right. But yeah, so long story short, for the candidates, there's a lot of raw numbers. So we just need to configure like the weight of different things, like how much should this weigh against the candidate. So that's a little hard, like a little easier. The journalist is almost purely subjective. And that we still have to do. We're gonna do like tons of focus groups, ask a lot of citizens of how this should unfold. Because you're right, like people are gonna, whether they like it or not, they're gonna be biased. That if you're more left leaning and you're watching more right leaning stuff, like you're gonna be biased against it. So we have to figure out some way to diffuse the bias side of it. The main thing that we want to put into it though is like, are they, after you, like, maybe it's like after you watch a video of that journalist, you rate it like, how accurate was their information? How partisan did they seem to be? Like, we're going to ask certain questions that citizens can grade the journalist. Because for journalism, the journalist side of it, it's purely going to be citizen reporting. The candidates, we have like raw data and money and stuff to check on. The journalist, it's going to be purely subjective, purely up to the citizens. So we have to figure out like how to overcome the bias side of it. Like, if you list yourself as more left leaning, should you only rate people that are more left or center, or trying to be neutral, or does it weigh less because you're rating somebody on the opposite side? Like we're not totally sure how it's going to unfold, but it'll take a lot of trial and error. And at the end of the day, though, I mean, I guess everywhere there's biases, and so any kind of ratings that exist today, maybe it just averages out in general, and maybe it won't matter as much. But like everything else is rated. You could go on Amazon and everything before you buy it is rated. Your Uber driver is rated. The restaurant is rated. Everything has ratings in it. This is harder because it has a lot of bias and strong emotions in the ratings, but there's definitely ways to do it. We just have to keep thinking about how to, overcome the biases in it.
Yeah. So how does this instantiate itself as an actual thing? It sounds like there's a website involved here, and are there applications involved, or like how would I say I'm about to? So it's election season right now. Elections are going on right now all around us. How do I check in on candidates? Like what do I do when I use your site?
Yeah, so right now it's more in the infancy stage, but you go to hub.futureis.org. There's a candidate discovery tab there. Right now it's mostly in Nevada. We have a lot of candidate data in there, as well as a handful of candidates that set up their own profiles and are communicating through this. I mean, right now it's really this like chicken or the egg situation. Like we're building up. We need to build more citizen demand for this, and like get more citizens excited about this, and then that'll incentivize more candidates to come in. Ultimately, we want to match citizens with the candidates that actually want to represent them, regardless of it's inside one of the parties. It could be third party, independent. So right now there's not tons of candidates on there yet. But we're starting this more of like a movement side of it. Because this has been like, there's been literally over 20 tech companies that have built like a political social network type system over the last like decade, and none of them have succeeded. Almost no one knows they exist. They just never get buy-in. And so we built some of our tech.
Is it because they're independent from party? Is that why they never get buy-in?
Yeah, I mean, part of why what we're trying to do differently than the other companies is like that the tech is really secondary. Like we want to be a movement first. We're clear, like this is the vision that we want to upgrade democracy. We care about true citizen representation and money out of politics. The other companies, they're like, hey, yeah, we're gonna build a platform that helps you vote better. So yeah, you could go to a system and it's easier to know who you want to vote for, but that's not incentivized enough. You need to get millions of people onto one system for this
Oh
to
yeah.
really change things. So what makes us different is that we're a movement first. We have this vision first. Like, people are in pain, people are suffering, so many people are saying there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. And basically, we're here to say we have a better way. We don't necessarily have all the answers, but we have a new way to surface the answers if we build this level playing field. Because there's so many solutions out in the world. It's just that those in power don't want them to surface. Because
Absolutely.
Even if there's
They
like
don't
a
want
cure
things
for
to change.
cancer,
They're doing too
like,
well.
yeah,
They're doing too well as it is now.
yeah,
It's like
exactly,
I don't want to cut off the gravy train of money. God
exactly,
forbid I do that, right?
yeah,
So that's what
yeah.
this would do. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the core fundamental thing is that, there are solutions in this world. There are so many solutions in this world. They just get buried by those that want the status quo. And so really, long story short, is we're trying to build the momentum as a movement, this message, this idea of what we could do. Once we get a certain amount of buy-in, starting with over social media, having people add their name, just showing that they support this, then we have the clout we need to start really pulling in grassroots candidates, connecting more movements, and just build out partnerships to really just make this go louder and louder until we could really dive in and build out all the tech vision that's needed. Like right now, we're building kind of like the shell of what we envision on the tech side of it, almost like a prototype. But once we have the right amount of support, then we could build all of it, and everything moves way much quicker. I mean, for a fraction of the cost of what politics costs right now, we could build a digital democracy that all 50 states are plugged in, every candidate, every citizen, everything's lined up, all showcasing every candidate at the fraction of the cost that it costs today. So it's a matter of just getting people aware of what we want to do, how we're going to do it, get a certain level of support, and then we could all unfold this all almost practically overnight. The tech side of it's actually easy. It's that we need the buy-in first and then the tech can just kind of be snapped in.
So right now you're a bit. I know I don't know how many people have signed up, but I'm thinking you're not very huge yet. So you're on your way. But have you had any pushback yet from people on this? Like people in power?
Not like an authority type figure, but I mean they there's plenty that clearly they don't want to do anything with that. They don't want us to succeed, obviously,
because
this would be hugely threatening to them. So nothing upfront threatening, just clear that they're not I've been surprised that there's movements that say they want money out of politics and stuff like that, and when you really get to know them, they don't really want to change things as much as they say they do, and so we've definitely ran into that a bit. And then I know the algorithms don't help us right now on social media, because ironically, we're trying to bring people together, trying to calm people in feeling hopeful and work together, and that's actually bad for algorithms. What's good for algorithm is fighting and cursing each other out, and hating each other is what grows it. And so that's been a little bit of a struggle as well, just the algorithms.
It's true. I mean, and the thing is, you're absolutely right. It's kind of it doesn't matter which side you are on. 80% of what we want is the same thing. 90% of what we want is the same thing.
Yeah.
We just want to go about it in different ways.
Yeah.
And if we could just get past that, outer layer of, I'm red, I'm blue, or whatever, then we all agree with the same thing. And I think it's internationally as well, right? It's the typical American, Russian, Chinese, Canadian, Iranian, Israeli. We're all, the typical individual all want the same thing. It's just, the leaders and the politicians that are making decisions on our behalf that we may not agree with. And this is great if we, where do you see yourself? So it's time to think like a futurist. It's year 2036. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Where do you see this in 10 years?
I mean, really, in 10 years, we hope to be massively changing the system. I mean, the beauty of also what we're doing is we're we run on the speed of the digital age. Like right now, one of the big problems with politics is it does not move the digital age. It's still like paper trails, and like Congress is very
Slow, super
it's
slow.
way,
Yeah.
yeah, it's way behind the rest of society. So culturally and all these other ways, America evolves very quickly. The world can evolve very quickly, but our system is so behind. But like, so once we get the buy-in that we need, which we're calling it our breakout moment, where this really starts going, we have enough people and buy-in to make this really go viral. And that we're actually hoping happens some point by the end of this year.
Nice.
And like, once that initial ball gets moving, like it's going to just grow exponentially because people are so ready for change. They want something different. And this is like the most fair, logical way to move us forward. And like, so, 90% of America is going to be totally on board. Yes, the powerful are going to slow it down as much as they can. But so 10 years from now, I would hope that like at least like 70% of voters are on our system. There's one place that everyone goes. You could put in your zip code. You'll see every candidate running in every position. Who's funding their campaign. Are they dealing shady dealings in the stock market? How consistent are their promises once they're elected? And like, whole system of accountability. And that this would be the way. We want people to see this as the future home for American politics. Like this is just the place where candidates go. And the tech itself is actually going to be citizen owned. We're going to spin this off. It's going to like the technology side of this is going to spin off as a citizen owned entity that like every American can opt into. It's like having one share. Every American can have one share. You can't buy a second one. You either never did anything, you have zero, or you opt in, you get one share. So literally a system that's citizen owned, citizen controlled, transparency, a watchdog of the political system, shows all your choices, make it easier to make a decision on who you're going to vote for. It'll start like allowing independent and third parties, like, hey, there might be a state or a district where a third party candidate is gaining a lot of traction. They have a chance to win. And as long as you cut out, the media manipulation, that they would actually stand a chance. And so this system would give them that chance that they need to be elected. So, we might overall stay in more of a two-party system. That's fine too. As long as we get better Democrats and better Republicans, that's okay too. We just got to cut out that money influence is just insane. So long story short, it's really like getting this all started I always knew it would be the hardest out of everything. But once we get the momentum, we got our language ironed out and how people can spread the word, make this go viral, things should move very quickly. We're even hoping like in 2 years, the next general election, that we'd have some amount of influence to help like hopefully like raise a candidate that otherwise wouldn't have been able to win. And like, maybe one of the two parties, maybe third party, doesn't matter. But like having like a presidential candidate that our system helps raise to the top or something.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love this vision. It's great. But you're still going to get a lot of pushback. Once you get bigger, you're going to get more pushback, obviously, right? And I think I love the concept of having a third party candidate. But if for some reason, it's like we're not designed for that in some way. So it's almost like if someone wants to come in, they'd have to infiltrate one of the parties and go, okay, now I want to start doing things that are disconnected with money and are more independent, more aligned with what the American people want. But there's going to be so much pushback against something like that and so much money against something like that. Are you prepared to take on that fight?
Yeah. Because like you're absolutely right. It's going to be a monumental amount of pushback and whatnot. But at the same time, like if we like Libertarians and Green Party are like the two biggest third parties. If we can get like our goal is once we have a little bit more momentum and credibility, have those parties use us, like make us the official infrastructure for their system. So like, if Green Party told all their candidates nationwide, hey, everyone, make sure you have a profile on the Digital Politics Hub, make sure you're communicating to people on there. That's where you get visibility. If Green does that, Libertarians do that, like if all the third parties do that, it benefits them, but then it also benefits this grander mission. So like building alliances like that and just having this, like, we're calling it like movements within movements. Like there's existing movements that exist today, but if they use us as like an umbrella infrastructure, they already have millions of people in their movements that can now be plugged into this bigger system, and like they could still run for their own agenda. Like they're allowed to be partisan or have policy stances. Me at Fink, I can't because we're the umbrella, but you using the infrastructure absolutely can. So really it's like for every like money interest that's against this, like there's so many people that want change, are looking for a change like this, and we just need to they need to learn how to work together, because there's just so much infighting. Like even within the progressives are infighting, like everyone's fighting each other, and they're fighting their own self-interest, and like, you know, building this kind of an infrastructure and like having consensus technology and all these different ways of like, you know, if we could build the right technology, the technology is not biased and it's fair. It doesn't care if the libertarians win or the progressives win. It's just programmed to like, okay, this is where the consensus is. This is what you guys want. This is what you don't want. So like, you know, if we could build the right kind of a system, the tech can be democratic because it doesn't have a leaning. It doesn't have an agenda. So we're just very hopeful that between the framing of how to talk about politics this different way, plus the technology, would be the best chance that everyone has to work together. Because it's like the people power is clearly on our side. It's just they're all divided and different goals and different things. That's why we're never winning. Is like, you know, even like, you know, like the progressives, there's like 10 different third parties. It's like, why can't you just at least be one party and try to, you know, consolidate the resources? It's like, no, there's Green Party, and like there's like 10 or more different third parties that have very similar policy stances, and yet they're dividing
which is exactly how the major parties want it. They don't want any kind of coalesced opposition. Right. It's like it's either red or blue, and that's it, nothing else. And you know, they wanted to keep it like that. They want to keep it exactly like that. So that's the reason, one of the reasons why third parties have so much trouble. But I think you're right. A lot of people are now registering independent. They're pulling away from both parties, and that's the group that you need to capture and get them to push for this type of solution.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say on this too is that one of the things we're building is with civic tags. And the idea is like, so you could potentially say, well, I identify as the Green Party. Like technically I'm running as a Democrat, but I identify as Green Party. Or like we call it political lens tags, that you could say, well, identify. Yeah. So that's a great idea. So there's like multiple choice, but you could even make up your own choices. So you could say, you say what party you're registered as, but you get to identify beyond that. We want to move away. Like, okay, so maybe you're, you know, like Bernie, he's always independent, but then when he's running for president, he flips to Democrat.
That's right.
You have to be in one of the two parties. So we want to build a system where like it might be libertarians or green or whatever running, but they might just switch to be Democrat or Republican just for the logistical reasons. And and the key is to build a system that makes that clear and makes that doable, that like, you know, group all the people that say they're Green Party, group them together. Even if they're Democrat registered, they could group themselves as Green Party or as other kind of labels.
Yeah. So I love that. I love that. It's kind of like Ron Paul. I mean, I was a huge Ron Paul supporter, and you know, he was a Republican because that's the only way he could win. If he ran as an independent or libertarian, he'd never win. So you know, I love that concept. That's great. And unfortunately, we're running out of time, so I have to. So this is fantastic. I love this idea. So everybody get out there and sign up for this. If someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
So go to hub.futureis.org. That's where the hub is of the technology we're building. Click on add your name. That's the first step to just show the demand for it. We ask a couple questions. Most of it's optional, but it really helps to just add your name there and then stay in the loop from there. You could also join our Discord. Once you submit that, you could jump on our Discord, and we're also on all the usual social media platforms.
I love it. I'm going to go there right now after this and add my name to this, because I think this is a fantastic idea. I love it. So I will put all the links in the show notes so people can go direct. So thank you so much. This has been great. I want to have another call with you like in a few years to see where you're at, because I think this is fantastic, and I hope it explodes like crazy, because we definitely need more citizen level representation in this, because the way the system is now, it is just not working for anybody. Well, it's working
Yeah.
for them. It's just not working for us.
Right. Yeah.
All right, sir.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Talk to you later.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one. Bye.
Pixels and philosophies merge and mold, a future untold, unseen.